Well, Matt, thank you very much for coming today. I appreciate anyone who's able to come and to show up. It's in the middle of the day. People are busy. People have lives, and even though this is something we try to get done quickly in an afternoon, I know it takes time out of everybody's day. So I really appreciate you, first of all. And so, uh,
I'm glad to be here.
thank you. Welcome to Creating a Zoom Holiday. So, my name is Van Davis. I'm the programs coordinator here at the College of Eastern Idaho. And part of my job is to create classes like this that are useful for the community. And Jennifer, could you introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Jennifer Lopez. I'm the Cyber Technology and STEM Program Manager here at Workforce Training. And I just wanted to do something that is helpful to others and maybe make our holidays a little bit brighter right now and also help to teach a skill that's useful beyond this time.
Yeah, it was actually Jennifer who came up with this great idea, and I was immediately stricken by it. I was like, this is such a cool idea that we need to be doing to really get out there for the community. So, this class is mostly going to be about taking someone who's unfamiliar with Zoom and getting them familiar enough with it so that they can use it to interact with their family. Zoom, like you're using right now, is free for the majority of users. If you want to get into like the pro options in Zoom, maybe that's something we can talk about much later. But for just a regular Joe Schmo, anyone can sign up and be able to use Zoom. Now, a free basic account gives you 40 minutes with a little bit of leeway in there when I've tried it out myself uh, per call. And usually that's for like meetings where there's two or three, well, not two, when there's three or more people in the meeting. If you're doing one on one with somebody, it's actually infinite, which is pretty nice. It'll just let you keep talking to each other. But once you add on a third person or more, that's when Zoom is like, we need to wrangle you in a little bit. But like I said, they give you a little bit of leeway. Just to give you a little bit of a story, I actually had a Zoom birthday party this past Friday for my littlest one. And so I set up the meeting. As soon as you set up the meeting, it warns you it's going to cut you off in 40 minutes. But you know what? We managed to get to 50 minutes and we were still going. It was still playing. So your mileage may vary. Zoom is a very nice company. They know what situations everybody's in. So they're just trying to be nice. All right. So I've been using Zoom for a long time, since about probably 2016 was the first time I was exposed to it. So when everything went down back in March, I was already old hand at Zoom, but Zoom quickly has done a lot of cool things to make itself more user friendly. So that's what we're going to be talking about right now. So Matt, I noticed that your screen is blacked out right now. Is that because you've turned off your video or because your video is not working for some reason?
I turned my video off. I'm actually walking around right now, and I didn't want to make you guys sick.
I'm okay with that. I kind of like that sensation. It's like I'm in the action with you, like zooming and whooshing around. Just don't take us into the bathroom. That's the place that, you can turn us off there. But one of the things I wanted to point out is that at the bottom of your Zoom window right now, even if you just move your mouse or your trackpad, or if you're on a phone, just touch the screen, you're going to see a whole bunch of buttons at the bottom. And if you're the host, like me, you're going to see more buttons. But if you're just a participant like you right now, you're not going to see very many buttons. And so it's not very stressful. The thing I wanted to talk to you about is mute and video right now. So muting is very much an art when it comes to Zoom. The way that this is all set up, it's hard for multiple people to talk all at once. It just the way the internet is and how streams are coming in. people can get cut off really easily. So it's way better to have 1 or 2 people talking at the same time and everybody else stay silent. At the very bottom of your screen, usually on the left-hand side, you're going to see what looks like a microphone, like what a DJ, like a radio DJ uses. Just simply click that to mute it.
Hey, Van, I think you're muted.
Hey, you're right, I was muted. And so that brings up another thing. When it's your turn to talk, make sure that you click that button and get rid of that line. Once you see that there's no line, that means you're clear to talk again and you don't have to worry. Believe me, it happens to everybody. It's literally become a joke amongst Zoom users when someone has to be like, I think you're muted. I think you're muted. We can't hear you. We can't. You see lots of people pointing at ears, like doing this motion. Just be very, very mindful of that. Another cool trick I wanted to show you is if you're ever wondering, can anybody hear me? Is this thing working? It actually has a green, we call it a level, that keeps going up and down if you stare at the microphone. This works on phones even too. As I'm talking, I can see my level going up and down like this. That means that it's reading that I'm making noise and it's picking something up, which is good. Now, over here where it says video, it has that scary name, stop video, stop video. And it's really not that scary. I'm gonna press it right now and it just turns off my webcam, but you can still hear me. I'm just like Matt right now. I'm a part of the meeting. You just can't see anything that I'm doing. Now, this is very, very important to make sure that you're using this at the right moments. I remember in about April, I think it was, there was this viral video of this class. They were all in a Zoom meeting together. There's like 10, 11 other people. Someone's doing a presentation and just discussing. And then you just see this woman with her laptop. She's walking around and then she goes into the bathroom and then she puts the laptop down and then she goes over to the toilet and all of a sudden everybody's like, no, Jennifer. No, not this Jennifer, by the way, not this, but a different person. Don't be that person. Whenever you're doing something that you don't want other people to see or people don't need to see, or even if, you're not happy about the mess that's behind you or anything like that, it's simple to just turn off your video and that gives everyone the privacy that you need. That being said, keep your video on, especially if you're talking to family and friends. They want to see your face. That's what's part of it. They want to be able to know that you're there. I had the Zoom birthday party with my daughter on Friday, and it lit her up every time she saw a new face pop up on the Zoom call. Grandmas, grandpas, family, friends. She just loved seeing that interaction. Now, if they were just a black box, she'll be less likely to want to talk to them because, she's 6 years old. She doesn't quite understand that the black box means grandpa necessarily. So speaking of participants in your meeting, the next button you'll be able to see is the participants button. And it always has a number right next to it that tells you how many people are in your meeting. Right now, we have 3 people in this meeting. Zoom can support 100 people in a meeting, and that's just with the free account. If it might even have capabilities for more advanced users. I haven't quite explored it that far, but I have been in some big Zoom meetings before with dozens and dozens of people, and it usually does very well. If you click on that participants button, it will show you the names of everybody that's in your meeting. So over on the right-hand side on my laptop, I can see those lists. On a phone, it'll also pop up a list that you can quickly dismiss if you need to. What's really cool about this is you can mute and turn off the video of other people as well. Now, this only works if you're the host. If you're the participant in it, then you just have to put up with it. But if you're the host, you have full control over your festivities or whatever you'll like to do. So, and keep in mind that while I have the ability to mute somebody, I do not have the ability to unmute or turn on someone's webcam. So for instance, Matt is muted and his webcam is off. I cannot turn on his webcam for him, which is a good thing, right? You want some privacy. You don't want someone to have complete control of your computer. But I do have the ability to turn off someone's microphone or webcam. And that makes it so that I can better control that meeting and what's going on. In addition to that, over on the right-hand side, where you see your participants, if you put your mouse cursor, or if you're on a phone, just touch a name, it'll give you the options for it. There's a mute button next to mine. There's also a more button. This gives me the ability to rename myself. So my name is Van Davis, but if I wanted to call myself this new name, Grandmaster Jam, I can do that. And I can just rename myself whatever I want to be. You know what? I don't want to be Grandmaster Jam. I'll just go back to Van, just so I don't cause any confusion. Okay. There we go. Van Davis is back. Now, if you look at the very bottom of that screen, you're going to see a couple of buttons. There's an invite button and a mute all button. So the invite button, if you've been given permission by your host, you have the ability to invite other people. So if you have an email address, just invite another person. They'll get the same link, and then you could just send that to as many people as you like. Not every participant has that ability. We'll talk about that when we talk about setting up a meeting, how you can design your meeting to be exactly the way you want it to be. But the mute all button is worth its weight in gold, let me tell you. Since the springtime, we've moved so many of our classes online. And when you have dozens of participants on, it can get a little unruly. So being able to just click mute all and make everybody go quiet instead of having to go person by person makes it that much easier. All right, so the next button I want to talk to you about is the chat button. So go ahead and click on that chat button. Oh, and Jen has already sent us something in the chat box. Ooh, how cool is that? So chat is just like any other internet chat, or if you will, like text messaging somebody, except it's only people who are in this specific meeting. So for instance, if I wanted to say hello, I just said hello. It's as simple as just typing it in. Now, you'll notice that where I said hello, it'll say my name to everyone. That means that everyone can view this chat message. Now, I can make this private if I want. So for instance, I'm going to send a private message to Matt. Now, you won't be able to see this private message because it's just to Matt, but Matt has received it. He just gave me the thumbs up that he received it. So that way I'm able to do this direct communication with each other. It's very much like chat. Like if you've ever been in a group chat before, there's like group chat, then there's the subgroup chat, then there's the subgroup chat. Zoom allows you to do all of that. So you can have multiple conversations going on, either orally through here or chat-wise. It all works out the same. The one thing I wanted to show you when you're using chat is you have the ability to send files. Now, that's exactly what Jen did. So if I scroll up to the top, I see she has zoomcontrols.jpg. I can click on that and it asks me to save it. So I'm just gonna save it to a spot. If you're on your phone, it'll ask to save it to whatever your phone's file system is. Most of the time it's a download folder. It's wherever almost all files on your computer go anyway. So now I've got that file from Jen. So it's pretty handy. If you want to share pictures with other people, it's very handy. Or maybe you have like an itinerary and so you want to send someone a PDF or a Word document, you can do that too. It's pretty handy that way. So there's one button that you probably are able to see. It's called the share screen button. Now this is something that you can turn off if you're the host, so that not everyone can share your screen, only you can share the screen. Or you can open it up to anybody, and anybody in your Zoom group can share their screen. We'll show you guys that a little bit later at a later date. There's a lot of things you can do with that share screen, so it deserves its own time. Now, the last thing, oh, I see Jennifer just texted. This can be done by clicking the to everyone at the down arrow. Just pick the person you'd like to chat to. Remember, when you want to chat with everyone again, to change the setting back to everyone. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Jen. So the last thing I wanted to show you on these buttons down here is the reactions button. This is a fun little feature that allows you to just react to things. So let's say Jennifer just showed us a picture of her new puppy. There you go. I'll put in a heart. Or maybe I want to celebrate somebody, so I could change my emoticon that way. And honestly, one of the things that I love the most is in the settings, it does allow you to change skin tone. So you can stick with Simpsons yellow, or you could go to a darker or browner or grayer skin tone if you like. So you can really customize it. It's really, really nice. The last thing I want to show you is the view button. Up here at the top right-hand corner, you should see a button. You might not see it, it disappears, but if you move your mouse, you'll see it pop up. It'll look like a bunch of squares, then it'll say the word view next to it. This actually changes the type of view that you have of everybody on your screen. So right now, I'm in gallery view, which means that I can see Jen, I can see Matt, I can see myself, I can see everybody all at the same time. But if I want to go to speaker view, this makes it so that whoever is speaking last is the one that gets featured on the main video. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for that. And then, of course, you could always change it back if you like. All right, so there's your very basic rundown of the Zoom meeting. There's another button I'm gonna talk to you about, but I don't want anyone to accidentally press it. It's the end button. Don't click the end button, not yet. We'll talk about that later. So Jen, would you like to talk to us about setting up an account?
I sure would. Thank you, Van. And so for this, I'm actually going to share my screen because I'm going to walk you through the steps from start to finish. So let me make sure I pull up the right. I have too many different windows open apparently. I think maybe this one. Nope. Let me double check which one I have open really quick. I'm sorry. Just a second.
It was sharing something before, just so you know.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. Now I should have it ready. Sorry about the delay. Okay. All right, so I wanted to first pop into here, and Van, your name is on my list too because of our shared Google Docs. But we're going to work from this page to start. And what I would like you to do is actually navigate to zoom.us. And I'm not asking you to do that right now, but this is what you can do after our meeting is through. And from there, what you're going to look for is this sign up, it's free button. Go ahead and click that. And it does need you to verify. This is pretty common now with most video chat, social media, all kinds of things. And this is done as a way to protect minors under the age of 13 in the United States. It's just something that basically our government decided is important. And, you know, most of us probably agree with that. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to pick a birth date. And we're going to make sure that we're over the age of 13. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put in our email. I have to double check that because I made an email for this specific class, creating Zoom events. That's what it's called. And this doesn't have to be a Gmail. This can be any account. So anything that you use, if you use Outlook, Gmail, Hotmail, I mean, there's still some Hotmail users out there. Any email account is fine as long as you have regular access to it, because you're going to need to go to the next steps after that. So you can see right here, it says that it's sent an email to verify. Now, this is important in your step to creating your account, because without this step, you're going to have a lot of problems actually accessing the account itself. Uh-oh. Looks like my own account is temporarily unavailable. Might have to, hey Van, you want to take the show real quick while I fix this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So while Jen is going through that, Matt, do you have any questions about anything that we've talked about so far? Okay. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. That's very nice. So I will say that creating an account in Zoom is not necessary if you're a participant. It's very important, especially if you have someone in your family who maybe doesn't like technology or doesn't want to learn new things. Being able to just send them a link to a meeting and then just click on it, that's really what most people have to do. I'm sure that's what the majority of people who are viewing this have done themselves. It's very, very easy to do. But if you create a Zoom account, now you have the ability to make your own meetings as well. So you can send them out to anybody that you like.
All right, we're back on. Technical glitches happen. So the best way to solve that sometimes is to sign out and sign back in. And that's exactly what I had to do. So now what I wanted to show you is that you'll get this email that says, please activate your Zoom account. Go ahead and click in that. Click this orange button that says activate account. And then from here, you're going to start filling in your information. So I'm going to make a fictitious person because, you know, why not? And then just pick a password that you'll remember, but you'll also remember that this is something that you want to keep secure because it has very little personal information attached to it, but it's still enough, especially if you start using a paid account. So be sure that you pick a password that is secure. Don't do the Cordy123 or password one or any of those things that people sometimes happen to use. And then also write it down. But if you happen to forget it, there's some ways around that too. It's pretty easy to recover a password, so don't get too concerned about that. But if you take a few pre-steps, you're okay. can tell my fingers aren't working with me. Okay, now, right here, this question, again, like I was telling you before, there's some safeguards for 13 and below. Since this is your personal account, you don't need to click yes for this. But if you are signing up and you're going to potentially be using it for your child or a grandchild for school, then that's a different, you know, I would create an account that's separate for that situation. So for this example, we're going to go with no. And then from here, you can choose to select a domain name, but this is not really necessary for a personal Zoom account. So you can go ahead and just skip that step. And then you're going to see that you can actually test your Zoom meeting. So your personal test is right here. You can go ahead and click it and it'll show you that it wants to start. I'm not going to do that now because it'll kick me from one meeting to the next. But what it'll do is actually bring you into a meeting just like what we're seeing right now. So we'll go back here and then we can go to my account and you can see that you actually have a Zoom account all set up for you now. You will see if you choose at some point in time that you would like to increase the number of minutes that you have available for your account, you can do that by going into plans and pricing, and then you can just go through and choose what you want to do. I personally, I have a paid account. I actually have it through, I'm a student at another college, and so I have it's pretty discounted for me. But if I was just to use it for any other reason, the free basic is awesome. And Zoom, like Van said, Zoom's been really great during this time about creating additional opportunity for people to use this without limitation. And we just saw at Thanksgiving that they took the limits off for everybody. So we're assuming we probably will see that again. We've seen it a few times this year. So we're assuming we'll probably see that again right around Christmas and New Year's. So don't get too worried about that, okay? Now, we're not going to talk about scheduling a meeting today. There's a little more to that, but I did want to ask, you know, Matt, do you have any questions about setting it up or, you know, concerns about the way that you would set up an account for yourself?
Nope, I think I'm good.
Okay, I will show you too. So when you click back on Zoom, it'll always bring you to this page that looks just like that very first page that you saw when we navigated to Zoom, but it is still in your account. So if you need to go to join a meeting, you can click right there to join a meeting. And if you have that link, you can put that in here, but you can always do that from the link that you get in either a text or an email. You can also go back over here. I'm not going to get into the host a meeting or into schedule a meeting today because I don't want to get too far into the weeds before we have a good understanding of just the basics. So we're just going to, I spelled my own name wrong. Okay, this is a good reason why we want to go into our account settings and look at things. So right here, you can see you can edit everything. And then if you want to add a phone number, you can do that. If for any reason you might find that you're going to use this for work at some point in time, you can go ahead and add that information in. And then you're just going to hit Save Changes. You can also go through and look at what your account limitations are. So you can see here, you can host up to 100 participants with a free account. You can also upgrade from here if you needed to. Here you can also pick your time zone. So say all of your family lives on the East Coast, but you're living here in Idaho. And you want to take out some of the legwork of calculating the time difference, you can actually edit that here and choose your time zone. So it's easier to set meetings for yourself to be on their time zone. But when you create meetings or you're invited to a meeting, it's always going to automatically populate to your time zone. So it's not a huge deal as long as, you know, you're okay with figuring out, you know, New York City is 2 hours ahead of Idaho. And then here, if you ever need to change your password, that can be done right here. KeyHost, I haven't had to mess with this too much, but I believe that this is like an inside Zoom control. So if you were having some issues and you needed to reach out to Zoom for some additional help, they might ask you for your KeyHost to do some further authentication. Now you also see two-factor authentication right here. I personally recommend actually turning that on. That's something that we can address later in probably our third class. We can talk about that. But it is something to think about when you turn on two-factor authentication. That's a way just to keep yourself and your meeting participants safe. All right, well, that was pretty much the basics of creating an account. And I updated my name and it's still showing wrong here. So
That's all just part of the fun, right? Just
it sure is.
wow, man, you just keep traveling. Like I never know where you're gonna be. You're in a hospital room one point, you're in a car now.
I'm finally out in my truck now, so I can listen.
Awesome. Well, do you have any questions, Matt, about what Jen went over or what I went over? Well, I can tell you that in future installments, well,
You guys did a great job. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I could tell you that on the future installments of this class, which we're going to do again Wednesday, then Monday and Wednesday next week, we plan to explore things like backgrounds or how to play videos, how to share screens, for instance, how to set up your own meeting and make it the way that you want it to be. There's all sorts of cool things that you can do to reach out to your family, feel connected with everybody. And you could do it all through this free program, Zoom. And just so everybody knows, we're not sponsored by Zoom or anything like that. The college has to pay for Zoom just like any other educational institution. But we have been using it for a long time. It's not because of the COVID-19 that we've been using Zoom. Ever since I've been with CEI, we've always used Zoom to do our meetings that are long distance, people who are out of town and whatnot. And nowadays it's doing meetings even with people who are in the same town as you, because it's just not a safe idea to put everybody in the same room. So a lot of these things that we're talking about can apply to other programs. For instance, there's bluejeans.com, which I know people at the site use, INL. There's also WebEx by Cisco. That's popular. Skype, Microsoft Teams, even FaceTime or Google Meet are all different ways of doing the exact same thing where you're just trying to reach out to individuals. We're just choosing Zoom because it's free and it's something that most people recognize, and you can use it on pretty much any device that's out there. So Jennifer, do you have any last words?
I would just say if you have any questions after watching this video, we're going to send this out to those who weren't able to attend. If you have any questions, please feel free to write them down and email us or keep them for the next session. We'd really love this. We'd really love this to be a time for you to ask us some questions too, because sometimes we can put in our best efforts to plan to teach a class, but sometimes the best way we learn is from asking each other questions. So if you have any thoughts, any issues getting into a Zoom meeting, if you have any challenges creating your account, please feel free to reach out to us and we're happy to help you out so we can get you ready for this next class and get you ready for the holidays.
Awesome. Perfect. All right.
Sounds great, guys. You guys did awesome. The class flowed. It was great. I appreciate both of you.
Rachel, how are you doing? Oh, you're muted right now.
I'm sorry. There were 2 classes at the same time, so I jumped right on as soon as I could, but I missed it, didn't I?
It's okay. It's okay. We recorded everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you this recording, and then you'll be all ready for Wednesday.
Awesome.
Perfect. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and end this particular session, and I'll send the recordings out to everybody, and we'll see everybody 2 p.m. Wednesday. Okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And Jen, just since you started the recording's on your computer, so you'll get like a little pop-up in a few minutes when it's done.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.